Mayor, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council to order for February 5th, 2015 at 8 p.m. On roll call, council members Catamagna.
Here.
Coletti.
Here.
Martino.
Here.
Edagano.
Here.
Bonsino.
Here.
Dombrowski.
Here.
Mayor Mola.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will everyone please rise for our prayer and flag salute? O God our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting to your trust, which we entrust to your fatherly care and protection. Excuse me. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and plant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey requires the commencement of every meeting is stated by the presiding officer, now therefore be advised. Meeting requirements of this meeting have been met by posting an annual notice in the Record of Hackensack, the Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk, as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 1, 2015. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is being videotaped. It's going to be on cable channel 77, Monday at 2 o'clock, Wednesday at 4 p.m., and Friday at 12 p.m. Or you can watch it on our website.
Mayor, we have the approval of minutes this evening for December 11th, 2014 work session, the December 18th, 2014 regular meeting, and the January 22nd, 2015 executive session.
May I have a motion, please? Mr. Martino, second.
Second.
Mr. Dombrowski, discussion. Call the roll.
On roll call, council members Catamagna.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Martino.
Yes.
Edagano.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening we have two ordinances. The first is on first reading tonight, Resolution R56-15, introduce ordinance 14-02 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance adopting Chapter 3-28 to the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled curfew be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, February 19th, 2015 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in the legal newspaper a note of introduction and final hearing is required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Dombrowski and Mr. Pettigano. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call,
Hey,
council.
wait a minute. The discussion on this, I just want everybody to know, we've been doing this for years and years, okay? And they just want to codify it at this point.
On roll call, council members Catamagna.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Martino.
Yes.
Pettigano.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, on second reading this evening, we have Resolution R57-15, introduce ordinance 15-01 on second reading. Whereas public notice was given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled an ordinance to establish the Water Department of the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to fix the rates and prices to be charged for the use of water and establish rules and regulations for the distribution, supply, use, and protection of said water, and penalties for violation of certain rules and regulations. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, January 15th, 2015, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled an ordinance to establish the Water Department of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to fix the rates and prices to be charged for use of water and establish rules and regulations for the distribution, supply, and use and protection of said water for penalties for violation of certain said rules and regulations, pass on final reading. Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Please, motion.
So moved.
Mr.
Second.
Bonsino, Mr. Catamagna, any discussion? Call, all in favor? Yep.
Aye.
So would anyone in the audience who wish to be heard? No one wishes to be heard, I'll close the public portion.
Need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Mr. Dombrowski and Mr. Martino. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have something to say. The water rate keep on going up. I really don't see any reason why they say they're ready to spend millions of dollars, they say, to their improvement. And, I mean, does it have to go up? I know they have a lot of money, the water company. Does anybody have an answer for that? I don't know. Do they, I mean, they say to us, we increase you, and we have no say?
Basically,
It's
yeah.
it's not fair.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not fair.
Well, they need to raise the funds so they can drain the reservoir and put up some ceramic, or, excuse me, cement tanks.
But they make so much more. They have millions of dollars.
Unfortunately, we can't do anything about it.
Ay, ay, ay.
Any other comment? This rate increase comes to us from the Passaic Valley Water Commission, and we just pass it along. It's not anything that we are promoting to increase it. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members
I
Catapania,
have no choice, yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Edagano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening, under the consent agenda, we have R 5815, payment of bills, R 5915, confirmation of escrow checks, R 6015, confirmation of payroll, R 6115, execute agreement for easement at 375 Market Street, Resolution 62-15, authorize status change from part-time to full-time for crossing guard Robert Jackman, Resolution 63-15, authorize temporary after-school teacher in the Recreation Department. Resolution 64-15, appointment of 2015 police towers. Resolution 65-15, approve professional planning services with Calker & Calker LLC. Resolution 66-15, authorize an execution of outside services contract between the Police Department and Arcadia Realty. Resolution 67-15, authorize refund for overpayment of an OPRA request in the municipal clerk's office. Resolution 68-15, appointment of firefighter John McCrudden, company number 2. Resolution 69-15, authorize and design construction phases for English Avenue Park to the Alimo Group. Resolution 70-15, authorize additional repair costs for the ladder truck, Valtech Incorporated. And Resolution 71-15, appointment of said tax counsel, of special tax counsel, Vincenzo Stampone Esquire.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Edagano
Any discussion?
yes, Mayor.
Yes.
Really want?
Yeah, well, I'd like to have Resolution R6915 and R7115 pulled and discussed separately.
69 and 71, Councilman?
Yeah, 69 and 71.
Mayor, we'll need Councilman Pettigano and Councilman Dombrowski to amend their first and second motions on the consent agenda to exclude those two resolutions, 71 and 69.
So moved.
So be it.
All in favor? So, okay, so this is going, this consent agenda will have R6915 taken off the consent agenda and R7115, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second.
Let me have a motion. Mr. Boncino, Mr.
Second.
Coletti, any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call to remove R69-15 and R71-15 from the consent agenda. Council members Catapania,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Martino,
Yes.
Pettigano.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
May I have a motion on the consent calendar as amended?
So moved.
Mr. Boncino, Mr. Coletti, any
Second.
discussion? Call the roll on the consent calendar.
On roll call, council members Catapania,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Martino,
Yes.
Pettigano.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Resolution R69-15, authorize design and construction phase for English Avenue Park to the Alimo Group. Be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Menlo Park do hereby award engineering services to the Alimo Group for design and construction phase for the English Avenue Park project with a total not to exceed $213,860.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Dombrowski, second.
Second.
Mr. Martino, discussion?
Yes, Mayor. I have a question regarding, I guess, in the wording and the amount. It says engineering services to the Alimo Group in the amount of $213,860. Is that truly the engineering fee for the English Ave improvements?
That's the total cost of the project.
That's the total cost? Because when you read it, it says the engineering services to Alamo Group. Now, I know we have 2 open space grants that amount to $180,000, right? We're trying to work within that. So can that be delineated there? I mean, when you read this,
I mean, we can table this resolution, and we can break it out as to how the money's going to be allocated, if that's the desire of the
Why don't
council.
you do that?
I think so, yeah. I mean, when I read it like this is for.
Councilman, you worried about the wording? Is that what it is?
Well, when you read it, it reads
Yeah.
that the engineering fee is
So they just have to
$213,800.
tweak the wording
Yeah, we're just,
to make sure that that's the one price. Okay.
Because it seems like.
We have a tabling motion by Mr. Boncino, the second. Is
I'll
there,
second it.
Mr. Dombrowski, call the roll, please.
On a motion to table the resolution, Councilmembers Catamania?
Yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Patagano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Motion to table is adopted. Resolution R71-15, consent agenda, appointment of special tax appeal counsel. Whereas the resolution appointing the special tax appeal counsel for 2015 at the reorganization meeting of the mayor and council failed to be adopted, and whereas the 30-day rule commenced on January 1st, 2015. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that the appointment of Vincenzo Stampone, Esquire of Haledon, New Jersey, as special tax appeal counsel, term ending December 31st, 2015 be, and the same is hereby confirmed. And be it further resolved that the compensation for said appointment shall be in the amount of $8,000.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Dombrowski,
A
second.
second?
Mr. Catamania, discussion?
yes, Mayor, I guess what I wanted to just discuss briefly is, in the past, we had Mr. Giblin working with Mr. Esposito as the special tax appeal counsel. And when it was questioned in our work meeting why we're changing, I think the response was, just to make a change. And I was just curious if anybody discussed with Mr. Esposito the change and whether he had any input or guidance. I'm a little concerned that we're just doing it for the sake of change.
Any comments?
If I may add, Mayor, we initially hired Mr. Giblin last year, and I thought he was doing a wonderful job, as he did to the prior years. And just to get rid of him at this point and bring somebody in that we're not sure of seems very political to me. I hate to bring that word into the council meeting, but this is something that just pops out as being political. If we analyze Mr. Giblin's evolution, he was a town attorney, and he also handled our special needs combined. Then we hired our new attorney, and Mr. Giblin was hired as a special attorney. Now, if you bring the politics into this, at that time, the Republicans had a majority, and we hired a Democrat. And the reason we hired a Democrat was because he was the right man for the job. He was the right man for the town, had nothing to do with politics. Now, we're getting rid of Mr. Giblin, and we're bringing on this new attorney that just seems purely political to me. Could somebody please explain that?
I can explain that it's completely not a political move. Vincenzo Stampone and his brother, Dominic Stampone, who happens to be the mayor of Haledon, are both qualified attorneys. As a matter of fact, Dominic Stampone works for the, I believe, the Passaic County or the city of Patterson. I'm not exactly sure, but he's there. The fact of the matter is that this is their specialty. Tax is definitely their specialty. And last year, when, as Councilman said, that we replaced Mr. Giblin, who did both our special needs as well as our borough attorney, we would have paid Mr. Giblin last year $56,000 to do that, to do both. When we hired our borough attorney last year, Mr. Rendazzo, we chose to have two attorneys because Mr. Rendazzo admitted that tax attorney isn't the best thing for him. So he took his salary to $48,000 and we gave $8,000 to the tax attorney. And at that time, we didn't have a lot of time to look into it, so we said, let's keep Brian. Mr. Stampone and his brother are very, very qualified councilmen. You will not be disappointed. I could also tell you that we, Mr. Giblin last year didn't have to really fight a lot of tax appeals. 2 years ago, we had quite a few. Last year, we really didn't. So
Would you say that his performance was fair during the course of those years?
I wouldn't say that it wasn't.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it wasn't, but I believe that the move to Mr. Stampone and his group it's not political, sir. It's really not a political issue. I just think that this is what they specialize in, and I think they'll serve our community well.
Did you seek Mr. Esposito's input at all before you decided?
I did not.
I was under the impression that Mr. Esposito did talk to one or two of the councilmen and recommended Mr. Giblin. Since he's been working at that job with Mr. Giblin, since Mr. Esposito has been our tax assessor and feels he's doing an excellent job. What we don't know is how much money we will make or lose by changing, and I would certainly ask the council to reconsider and ask for Mr. Esposito's opinion of continue working with Mr. Giblin, since he feels they've been doing a good job all these years. Hate to lose some money. We'll never know how much money we'll lose, but I hate to do that. Is there any thought of tabling this and asking Mr. Esposito?
I would move to table. It's not broke, why fix it?
Oh, here we go again.
We know what we have, we don't
Oh,
know what we're going to
Jesus.
get. You're going on the word of others telling you that this new law firm is qualified, which might be the case. However, it's not tried and true in this town as Giblin was tried and true in this town. So, it's not broke, let's not fix it.
I'd like to say something, we normally don't like to badmouth anyone. We don't want to put anybody down. Mr. Giblin, the job he did. But you guys experienced already, the change we made was a huge change. All right, I don't want to put, Mr. Giblin is a nice man, good man, but today we have an attorney who is knowledgeable. The answer is given to you quick. Even the mayor likes him. So we have a guy who is really
Like Subi.
experienced in this situation.
Like
Okay, Don't you tell me you don't like him, Mr. Randazzo? Mr. Randazzo is a real qualified
I-
attorney for the town.
I nominated-
It's a plus for us. Now, we want to make change to improve. We know Mr. Stampone, his reputation is great. We ask a lot of people, that's his specialty. So I like to take the chance. I think you will do a good job for us,
I agree.
okay? Because I don't know what you guys, some of you may be in a dream world when you say, what a great job this guy did or not. As I say, I don't want to badmouth anybody, but the change I think would be good. Let's try. It's only got to be for a year.
Well, that's what you-
I didn't say anything about the quality of the work. All I asked is, did you seek input from
Can I tell you,
Mr.?
we
I said no.
investigated a little.
No, Mr. Dombrowski said no.
I did not.
I did.
He asked me, you asked me.
You talked to
I know,
Mr.
I know Mr. Stampone.
You talked to
many
Mr.
years.
You talked to Mr. Esposito?
Did I talk to Mr. Esposito? Mr. Esposito likes Brian Giblin.
Well,
Mr. Esposito is not on the council. We make decision here, not Mr. Esposito. We may get his
I
input.
didn't say he was going to make decisions. I just asked if you saw his input, that's all.
Yeah, he did say things, nice things about him, yes.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Guys,
Mr. Caramano, you did say
we
that-
gotta make the change.
Mr. Caramano,
Okay,
you
that's
did
what we
say
get for.
that about our engineer, too, was only going to be for 1 year, and we ended up going 3 years, and they're not tried or true either. They haven't really completed a project yet, so we're still in no man's land. with
Mr.
that.
Calamity, excuse me, every time we appoint somebody, you guys don't take it. We keep quiet. The mayor told me once, when you have your majority, you decide. Now we get carrying on this over and over again, month after month, we repeat ourselves. It's clear.
Well,
Well, it doesn't mean we can't state our opinion.
Yes, it can, but look,
We
as
have
you
to
know,
sit here with our-
you've been
with our
every
lips
meeting,
zipped?
you hammer the same thing over and over.
Contrary-
Take it, guys, it's a
Just stay home
change.
and do that.
We want the change. You have it. Take it for now. Maybe next year, you change it to something else.
I would also like to point out that if you read the Shopper article, the front page, if you read the last sentence or the last paragraph, it stated that that the Alimo Group was unanimously voted in by as well as not only the Democrats, but the Republicans for the 3-year term. Listen, you have every right to say and disagree. However, the Republican council that is sitting up here unanimously with the Democrats voted him in for 3 years.
Yeah, and that's a fact. But I did stipulate when I was voting.
But you
that-
could have voted no if you...
Wait, I'm not finished. I listened to you, you listened to me. I did state at the time that I thought it was premature, and we should definitely rehire him for 1 year, so there's no majority and minority vote coming out of me at this point.
Councilman-
I am going with what was right to do for the moment. The 3 years was a mistake.
So you're
However-
saying that you voted yes by mistake?
No.
But you voted yes. You should have voted no.
They're doing a good job. I was against the 3-year part of it.
Right.
But it was not enough for me to vote no.
Okay.
That
So
make any sense?
I understand that, but then several years ago, when you gave Boswell a 3-year deal,
That's it.
where,
We didn't
No.
talk about it, we didn't discuss.
You voted yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Catamanian.
so what? So you guys did, you voted yes?
You
So what,
argue-
keep carrying on with this? That's over. That's
That's-
it.
but
Just
you-
Boswell served 3 years,
It's
God
over,
bless
But
it.
you voted yes, you're arguing opposite of what Mr.
Argue,
Dombrowski
man,
said.
no. The thing is, he voted yes, he gave me an argument, because I say so, I voted yes.
Frank, it's not an argument, it's a discussion. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to communicate, that's all. Not an argument.
no, I'm
Let's
just
go
making...
over again, and then,
Councilman-
Listen, you know, excuse me, Mr. Dombrowski, in relation to engineers, for many years, almost 40 years, we hired engineers 1 year at a time.
Okay?
We should go back to that, 1 year at a time.
We only followed what you did with Boswell.
We only followed what you did with T&M.
I didn't do it with TNM. I wasn't a
Mr.
councilman. then.
Catamania did it with T&M,
by
appointed
myself.
T&M.
I wasn't a councilman. I can't,
And
take
that
credit
firm was
for
an
that.
absolute disaster for the community. And you started the 3-year term.
And you copy us, good.
And we copied you because we wanted Boswell back for 3 years. Now you're going back the other way for 3 years.
All I'd like to say is, Councilman Coletti, I respect what you're saying, but then if you felt as though it wasn't the right thing to do, you should have voted no.
Well, I respect the fact that you have your opinion on that. And there was not enough there for me to vote no on the engineering firm because they're doing a pretty good job. It's just that I was trying to convince my fellow councilmen here to let's just sit back, give them 1 year, and take it from that point. That was my whole purpose of that evening. You're twisting it.
Okay.
Let's call a vote.
Let's move on.
I move that we table 71-15.
I'd second it, not to discuss it more.
Motion made by Mr. Coletti, seconded by Mr. Boncino. Call the roll, please.
On the motion to table, council members Catamania,
No.
Coletti,
Yes?
Martino,
No.
Patagano. No. Bonsino,
Yes.
Dombrowski.
No.
Motion to table fails. Mayor, we'll need a motion, we have a motion on the ordinance, on the resolution made by Councilman Dombrowski and second by Councilman
Call the
Catamani.
roll, please.
On roll call, council members Catamania,
Yes.
Coletti,
No?
Martino,
Yes.
Patagano.
Yes.
Bonsino.
No.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, that concludes my portion of the agenda.
Committee reports, Mr. Catamania?
Yeah. Monday night, I attended the Board of Education meeting. I tell you, an exciting meeting, Mayor. Excellent. A lot of people there. Hey, we get a lot of people tonight. I'm happy. Lately, it's been really exciting, the Board of Education meeting. As everybody knows, Dr. Tomko is no longer with us. I guess his time was up, or he resigned early to take the same job as a superintendent at Belleville, the school systems. And I wish him good luck. God bless him, and so on. I noticed that I also want to congratulate students for their achievement they will receive for NJIC All League Honors for the fall sports season. And we have for volleyball, a senior Victoria Stack, for second team All Bergen County, also second team All State, first team All Group 1 volleyball, Second person was a senior Juliana Romero, first team All Colonial League. For football, we have a senior Mike Dare, first team All Colonial League, first team All Bergen County quarterback, second team All Group 2 quarterback. Then we have a senior Sean Violante, first team All Colonial League, first team All North Jersey defensive back, third team All Group 2 Unity player. Then we have a junior, Sammy Santos, first team All Colonial League, third team All Group 2 defense offensive line. And then we have senior Brandon Gomez, first team All Colonial League, linebacker, junior Brendan Rockets, first team All Colonial League, wide receiver. The rest of the meeting was a lot of argument, discuss about the fee to pay Boswell Engineering to do the, I guess, drawing the field or whatever. There was a lot of discussion about that. Many people are happy, few people are happy. So things went on, and I tell you, it was exciting. Something in life, nobody fell asleep. Overall, it was a good meeting. I have no other comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to also congratulate Michael Dare. Mike Dare yesterday on college signing day had committed to Rutgers and will probably be playing football for them next year. So I'd like to congratulate Mike Dare. He's following in the footsteps of another person from Elmwood Park to be the quarterback for Rutgers, Mr. Nova, Gary Nova. I wish Michael Dare, and I wish, now Gary will be moving on, and we'll see where he ends up. But we would like to say, it's nice to see that Elmwood Park is getting back-to-back quarterbacks for Rutgers. I would like to just comment, obviously recently we just had a couple of snowstorms. We went through December, and we pretty much skated. People have to remember that there's 90 days, 89 or 90 days, depending on what year it is, that we have of winter. And in those days, you're going to get snow. This past snowstorm was a lot worse than the one that they predicted to be the epic blizzard that we were going to get. This snowstorm that we recently received was a lot of ice, a lot of rain, as well as a lot of snow. Didn't help that it started on Super Bowl Sunday. There was a lot of cars on the road. So we had some small issues, but I'd like to please remind the residents is that our men and women are doing as best as they can given the weather circumstances. I would also like to state, though, from the residents' point of view, is that I've been noticing when people put their garbage out, they're putting their garbage cans on the street so that the snowplow comes by and either has a choice of hitting your garbage can or going around it and making what I call a snow angel in the street. I'd like to ask the residents to please be very cognizant and do not put your garbage cans on the street. Please put them on the sidewalk. Let the garbage men walk around. It's important because we have to keep our streets clear. I also made it very, very public that, we got to follow the code and the parking rules. Our police department, and maybe Mr. Boncino will talk about this later, issued over 400 tickets over the last couple of storms. And we're being very serious about this. We will ticket and we will tow. Okay, for too many years, people have been getting away with it. Now it was enforced then, maybe not as much, but it's being enforced now because if you're going to complain, we have to make sure that we enforce the laws. And so if you're parking on the wrong side of the street, it's funny, you drive down and you see these cars with their windshield wipers up, which means that they know it's going to snow, and yet right next to their car is a sign that says no parking when road is snow covered. Please, pay attention to the parking rules. It is on our website, www.elmoparknj.us. You can take a look at it. Please, please, I'm asking that you follow the rules. Progress.
Mr. Boncino.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I wanted to start by first recognizing two of our police officers, Officer Mike Kemp and Joseph Friedman. Over the last week, our chief received a letter from family members that live out of state, over 1,000 miles, but they had called into our police department. Their mom had fallen, and she was on her own, and our police were dispatched readily to the residence. And the officers arrived, cared for the individual, stayed with her until paramedics arrived, and ultimately she was taken to the hospital. And the out-of-state family members were truly appreciative of the efforts of our police department, our dispatcher. But why I bring this up, not only to recognize those two officers, it's an example of what sets our police department apart from others. It's kind of stratifies the members of our department. I've said it before, I know firsthand, when you have an emergency, they're there at the house within minutes. And I commend them and I thank them for their service. I don't have anything to add relative to the parking. I think Councilman Dombrowski probably explained the situation. You got to pay attention to the signage and make it easier for us to get the roads clear. And then finally, I wanted to congratulate Mike Dare on his signing with Rutgers. I know the Dare family for a while. His dad coached one of my sons in Little League way back when. But for all the hard work that Mike has accomplished to get to this point, he wouldn't have got there without the support of his family and guidance of his family, his mom and dad. So I congratulate all of them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Martine.
Yes, the homeowners, I just want to mention to everybody, on February 25th at 7 PM in the Senior Center will be a meeting. 2015, the Homeowners Association is going to try to expand their membership and try to get everyone more involved. Just come down, it's free cake and coffee, and maybe we can all learn from a little bit from each other. A little bit of progress, and I just looked down at the calendar. 8 months ago, my dad died while I was here. I miss him. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Pettigano.
Thank you, Mayor. On the snow ordinances, just as Councilman Dombrowski had mentioned, that the roads need to be cleared, but not just for the residents, well, yes, for the residents, I'm sorry, but for our emergency vehicles. That is what we are most concerned about. We've had some problems in the past few days, and following these laws will save lives in the long run. So I urge people to pay attention also. Secondly, we are getting into the thick of winter. Tomorrow, it's going to be extraordinarily cold. That doesn't help anybody who's going to listen to this in a couple days, but anybody who can check on a neighbor, especially the elderly, please do so. Check your generators, use them properly. And again, I want to congratulate Michael Dare. It's a honor for our town to be so noticed in the college sports world. So I want to congratulate him on his signing the other day. And progress. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Coletti?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. The fire department had their annual installation dinner last Saturday night, and I'm very pleased to say that each and every one of these councilmen, along with our mayor, were there, and I can actually say that's the first time I've seen the entire council there at one time supporting the fire department. It was a good evening. And my pet peeve, especially during the winter, are the fire hydrants. I've been getting a couple of calls from residents saying that they clear the fire hydrant away, and then our plows come along and plow them back in. I think what you have to do is you got to break down the operation to understand how that makes any sense, because it doesn't make no sense when you're out there in that 5 foot of snow and you just cleared it away and you got to go clear it again. So I can understand the complaint. However, the roads, the way they initially hit the roads, depending on the storm, and every storm, as we all know, has its own identity. Not two storms are the same, and the conditions of the ground at the time all come into play. So that's why you might see a heavy snowstorm and the roads crystal clear the next day, and then sometimes that doesn't happen because of the freezing elements. But getting back to the fire hydrants and getting plowed back in, what I do, and I also include my corner where we get that heavy buildup, is I wait until I'm sure the plows are done. I go about my business in other areas of the property, clean them all up. It's the last thing I do. This way I don't have to do it twice. And it's very important, I can't stress the fact that these fire hydrants have to be maintained and clear. The last thing in the world that you want for your family, your neighbors, and your friends is not to be able to get to that fire hydrant and something tragic happens. So let's remain cognizant of that. There's no excuse for the second plowing. There's not an excuse. If you hadn't wait, you got to go back in to clean it, please do so. We do have an ordinance that states that it's your liability if you own a piece of property and there's a fire hydrant on it. And one last thing with the fire department, we are seeking new recruits. If there's people out there that wish to join the fire department, please contact me at 201-797-4221 or call our clerk, and he'll advise how to get in touch with one of the companies. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, before you make your comments, let's remind people that not to shovel back the snow to the middle of the road after the plow goes on.
Yeah.
I see so many people, I stop somebody, you want to kill me. I mean, you know, this guy spoke Spanish, and I understood what he said. I say, look, you know, you're not supposed to do this. So then I talked to him in Spanish, and he answered like, said, well, what do you want me to do? Either like, you know.
He didn't say those words though, right, Frank?
You say other words.
It's all right,
I cannot
Councilman, you
say
should have heard the things they were calling me.
Oh, my God. I said, it's all right. I say, it was clean. Now you make a mess again. I tried to tell him, you know, this guy is ready to kill me, so I better get out of here. So just remind everybody, please, don't put the snow back on the road, okay? If you want your streets clean. That's all I have to say.
I think he wanted to kill you because you took his parking spot after you cleaned it. That's probably why.
Thank you. Mr. Randazzo, you have any report? Progress, Mayor. Thank you. We covered quite a bit with the snow removal. We've given out tickets, hundreds of tickets at various snowstorms, so it's nothing new. We're trying. Some people are willing to pay for the ticket because they don't want to move their car, or they can't find another place to park their car, and that's up to them. They want the ticket, we'll give them the ticket. But if they want their street cleared, then they should move their car, take it off the street, anywhere, put it anywhere they can to get it off the street, and then they can put it back down again, and in the area that's clean. One of our problems, as Mr. Caramagna has indicated, people shovel back in the road, and we have trouble with that. It's been like that for years. Some people just don't know, some people just don't care, and they do it. And I think they should be given tickets also. This past month in January, I did go to a freeholder meeting, and as soon as I got there, I indicated to the director that we're still interested in completing the park in Elmwood Park, the county park in Artesian Fields. And I spoke to Executive Tedesco also. They will review that. Right now, they don't have a parks commissioner. They're looking for a parks commissioner. And they sent out flyers to, or word to anywhere in the country, I think, looking for somebody to come in and do it. When that takes place, they will meet with us, or have the Parks Commission meet with us, see how much money has been expended on that park, what has to be done, and pursue it from there. So I'm confident that the Freeholder Board, and the new executive will help us complete that park as was originally planned. Yesterday, I met with Mr. Kazmark and the Commissioner of Transportation, Jamie Fox, and I'm pleased to announce that he indicated, Mr. Boncino, don't jump up and clap, just remain quiet. He indicated that by April, middle of April, the end of April, but by April, they will put
You didn't mention a year, though.
this year, they will put a stoplight, a traffic light, at the corner of East 55th Street, so that any cars going by will stop there, so if you want to go across the street, cross the highway to the train station, you can do that. This was something that I approve of, but I disapprove of, because, you know, I hope we can get it safer for the pedestrians. However, we have a traffic light on Orange Avenue, we have a traffic light on Iosia, we have a traffic light on East 54th, we have a traffic light coming on East 55th, and we have a traffic light in Saddlebrook on Midland Avenue. Now, as long as they're all coordinated and synchronized, there shouldn't be any problem, but if something happens, we may have a backup, but I think this might be the safest situation.
If they've studied it long enough, they should be able to synchronize it.
Well, I'm pleased that Mr. Fox, the Commissioner, has put this on his front burner and it's going to be done. He also indicated that, and we did get word that underneath Route 80 on River Drive, let me explain this to you and then I'll tell you that they're going to repave that. If you're driving Route 80, River Drive, you pass Market Street, you go under Route 80, that portion of the pavement belongs to the state. The rest of River Drive belongs to the county. The county will not pave that, and it's terrible under there. And the state was hoping that the county would pave it. Well, finally, Commissioner Fox got them to come back, and I'm told that they will be repaving that portion in the spring.
Which spring?
This spring.
You copied my
My
line.
It was good, I had to use it.
And I'm hoping that the county will pave much of River Drive. So at least we're going to get that one portion of the road. I never thought that that road belonged to the state, but that's something we all have to learn once in a while. I want to again announce, I'm looking for people to serve on the anniversary committee, the 100th anniversary committee of Elmwood Park. Presently, we have about 40 people who've responded. So I'll wait another week or so, and then we'll have a meeting with everybody, and then we'll elect a chairman, or however they want to do that. And if there's anyone in the audience or anybody watching that wants to get on that committee and they feel they have an expertise in doing certain things, please contact my office. We'd be glad to put you on. Okay? And I don't want to go over any more about the snow. They do the best they can. Sometimes it can be better. But please don't throw the snow in the street as was indicated, and that's especially in the apartments and narrow streets. They just throw it in the middle, and then we have a hump there, and that tends to get icy. So may I have a motion to open to the public, please?
So moved.
Mr. Boncino, second.
Second.
Mr. Martino. Any discussion, all in favor, opposed? Anyone who wishes to speak, please come up, give your name and address.
Hello. Doreen Espress, 81 Van Riper. I have a question. I was also at the board meeting on Tuesday, and one of the board members said, how come we don't come here and complain every time you buy a car for the police officers? And
Say that again, please.
Could you pull the mic closer to yourself, dear?
I was at the board meeting on Tuesday, and one of the board members said why we don't come here and complain every time there's a new car bought for the police. And I'm here.
Are you complaining when we...
I'm understanding that you don't go over budget, but is it possible you can clarify how do we do that so I can go back and answer?
Well, how we buy police cars?
Yes. since you don't go, and
Or
I
how
know
we
you
don't
don't
We
go
we
by.
usually buy police cars, either 2 or 3 every year, because they reach a certain mileage capacity, and then we change them.
And we also end up using some drug seizure money that helps fund that. And then once the cars are expired, as we say, we actually sell them on a government website, and we get money back in an auction.
Or give them to another
Or
department.
we give them to another department.
Oh, I didn't do that this year. We used to give it to the building department, but we changed that this year. We bought new cars.
But you stay within budget,
Always.
Yes.
okay?
The inside of the police.
Let me just clarify that for you. If a police car runs constantly, okay,
Yes.
and you have to change the engine, it costs too much to keep on repairing it.
I know that, I just wanted to clarify, just so I can go back and have all the facts.
And usually, we try to
We-
keep the insides, the computers and everything else, because they're rather expensive. But the outside of the car does get a lot of abuse, and, because the expense is the inside of the car, really. The outside, not that it's not expensive, but that's what we try to do.
Thank you.
No problem.
James D'Amico, 64 Willis Street. Real quick, what the lady was just trying to say is there was a very heated argument last night or Tuesday night at the Board of Education meeting. I myself have to apologize to the public, to the citizens of Elmwood Park. I got a little bit carried away myself. But heated arguments, okay, once in a while, and it happened. I have to correct Mr. Caramagna on just one thing. They were talking millions of dollars at that meeting, and our superintendent, he did fall asleep at the meeting. So we'll move on from that. Yes, he did. So what you're trying to qualify is the Board of Ed was going crazy. It was a crazy meeting, so they were trying to put the blame on the council for certain things. Well, why don't you go to the mayor and council and ask them why they're spending so much money on police cars?
Excuse me.
Some kind of comment was made on that. They're trying to just,
Excuse me, Jimmy,
No.
excuse me. What was the total we paid for each car, Mr. Casbar?
I don't know that number off the top of my head. It's usually in the $30,000 range.
Yeah, it's usually 25 to
That's what I'm saying.
30,000.
Nobody's here, in other words, we were questioning the council while we buy cars. They were trying to say, well, go to the council and ask them why they're spending so much money. Stop asking us why we're spending so much money. So that's what happened. My only question was, I spoke to one of the councilmen. You know, there's a big problem with the board right now, and everybody knows that, new field, not a new field. Some people want it, some people don't. We came up with an idea of possibly, even though we all know the council has, mayor and council have nothing to do with the Board of Education, okay? They're autonomous. That it's such a problem, yet everybody wants a new football field, a new sports place, but we know we can't afford it as a community.
It was
We don't have the
defeated.
money.
It was defeated twice in the
And it
referendum.
was defeated twice by the people.
Right.
But we did come up with an idea that maybe if the board somehow worked with a committee, with the council, as a community, maybe we could figure out a way to build this field. We don't know. All we've been arguing is that there's just not enough money, they're raising taxes, and so they're yelling at the council. Yeah, well, maybe go talk to the council about it, but needless to say, it might be an idea. Maybe as a community, we could figure out how we can build this field for the children, because it's a lot of money. They're talking $2 million, it's at least $3 million. It's a big project. But anyway, that's what happened there. The only other thing I had to say was with the snow, what we do is I make my kids get up in the middle of the night. When that plow goes through, they move that car to the other side. So then they can plow that side. So they moved the car to the other side and they came and plowed, and we got a ticket on one on the other side. But that's okay, they do the right thing. Thank you, good night.
Thank you, Mr. D'Amico. Anyone else?
Yeah, we got a ticket.
Hi, Gladys Griskowitz, 256 Fensack Avenue. In light of the snow, ice, pretty much, the children have to walk to school, and to me, that's the most important thing. I know that the emergency personnel have to get through. I was wondering if there was someone that could actually shovel the snow. There were pathways, these children were walking in the street. the past couple of days, and they still are, because you're giving out tickets to automobiles, parked on the wrong side of the road, but people have not shoveled their snow. These children are walking past 80, they're walking on entrances and exits from 46, under the 80 trestle, nothing has been shoveled, and they are walking in the streets. So, I mean, that's more dangerous to me than anything else. Maybe someone from the DPW can, one person out of the 20 maybe they have can shovel and, the other people plow. They came afterwards, 2 days after the snow, and literally shoveled ice packs into the corner. I don't care, Superman can't get that ice out. It's 3 and 4 feet high on the corners, and the kids have to walk out into the street. There's no alternative. I can't shovel through ice. I mean, we cleared it, and then a day later, even today, the plows were on the road, and they're plowing ice. They're packing ice into the corners. So, I mean, if the children have to walk in the street, I think everyone needs to put their heads together and figure out how we can make it safe, because we're getting a lot more snow. And people have not shoveled. On my block, there's ice going down. I do my part, but not everyone does their part, and the children should not have to walk out in the street, period.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. I was at the Board of Education meeting this past Tuesday also. One thing I would like to clarify, and I don't know if it was the way it was stated here a little while ago right here, Mr. D'Amico or whatever, but I just want to clarify. As it came up about what things were said or whatever, about the statements that were made regarding police cars and regarding other things, I think it was one board member made these statements. It wasn't the board as a whole, neither was it. There was nothing really spoken, and the meeting ended very rapidly when there was an exchange between a member of the public and the particular board member, and the meeting ended at that point. But regardless of that, there were statements made about the police cars, as have been stated, and there was also a statement made about buying 2 police chiefs out, which I don't recall. I recall that whatever police chiefs have retired, have gotten whatever's due them, and whatever's been negotiated, it's been negotiated. There was no buying anyone out, but that statement was made. And I don't know where that came from or what those thoughts, but these things were put out there. And one thing that I always try to strive for is that the truth just be told. And I think most people can take the truth when it's told. And I mean, I've observed many meetings here, and I have to congratulate you, gentlemen, and at times women who have been on the council, that you sit down and there may be some words exchanged, but everything seems to be in the end in the best interest of the borough. And that I would like to congratulate you all on, because I see things that at your work meetings you're hashed out, you sharpen your pencil and you request that that be done. But there were many questions raised at the board meeting regarding Boswell Engineering and a particular cost that the board was unaware, and I think they really were unaware of what was going on. And that motion was tabled. I think Mr. Caramani said something about 3 board members or whatever. But just so you know, the motion was tabled, not that they're not going to pay the particular item that was about the design phase of the field. Again, getting to the snow. One of the things I've noticed is the signs. And I mean, I know where to park and I know where not to park. But there are many signs that, to me, don't make a lot of sense. If you have a no parking when road is snow covered, with arrows pointing to both the north and south side of the street. What's that mean? What does that mean, that sign? There are many signs in the town that's what there are. It doesn't say no parking this side of the road when snow covered. It's got an arrow going in both directions.
If I may, those arrows mean that whole strip of,
East to west.
that means that whole strip of curbing.
On the horizontal, as Archie Bunker.
Believe it or not, that, unfortunately, but
I
that
know what it
means,
means.
yeah,
It's kind of misleading. It looks stupid.
right.
This side would have been easier than the arrow, maybe a little bit more pain one way or the other, but I don't, anyway, regardless. But the other thing is, as...
Let's make it clear, hold on, let's make it clear, though. If anybody sees a sign, I think we have, do we need to cancel?
5 minutes.
Okay, now.
Can I say something as mayor?
You're the mayor.
We're just going to have a short recess while they change the tape. Okay, we're back in session.
Mr. Freitag, if I may say, if anybody sees a sign, regardless of where the arrows are, if you see the sign on that side of the street, that's the side you can't park on. So I just want to make that very clear, so that nobody's concerned that northwest, east, south. I mean, really, if the sign is there on that side, that is the side you cannot park on. And technically, you have to wait until after all the snow plows go by. The fact of the matter is, folks, sometimes the snow plows go by 24 hours after the snow falls, so please, if you think your street isn't completely plowed, as Councilman Coletti stated, please don't park on that side.
Regarding the snow, two things.
Wait, but, excuse me, 1
I'm
minute.
sorry.
That is the old ordinance that we had for 20 years.
Yeah.
We have a problem when they still don't understand that ordinance. The second ordinance we put in, I had trouble with and spoke out against it. We went back to the first one. I don't know if they don't understand it or they don't want to understand it. But when we give out 400 tickets, sooner or later, they're going to get
understand
the idea.
I remember sitting at a meeting where Mr. Hasmark gave some indication of what's done in Woodland Park, and that seemed to have corrected the situation there, as I recall it. One thing, it's, as I do my walk in front of my house on Hillman Drive, on many occasions, I'll have it all done. And I understand the driveway's gonna get plowed, but when the truck comes by at kind of a rapid pace and puts it all back on the sidewalk, because they're going, we don't have that much distance, and my side is the street actually where cars can park, but because really very few people park on the street, they just put it all back on the sidewalk. And it's not just regular snow, it's all that lumpy stuff that's frozen and this and that. The driveway I can contend with, and the fire hydrant I do, and I do it faithfully. And I never got my thing yet, Dave. But regardless of that.
You're going to bring that up.
Anyway, that I can contend with. Then my son lives on the corner of Phillip Avenue and Bivany, and his corner has sidewalks, opposite side of the street. There are no sidewalks going east and west. And the other day, he went to work, so I said to my wife, well, I've got time, I'm retired. I went over and shoveled about 10 foot from his corner out, so students or whomever wanted to walk across the street, across Bivany, can do so. Well, lo and behold, a day later or whatever, I was by his house, and again, they came by and plowed the side of the street and pushed it all back in the area that had been shoveled. And this was not the same time. So I get out and shovel it again faithfully. I don't want to see people have to go over the hills and this and that and everything. But I think, and the opposite side of the street, where there are no sidewalks going north and south, they don't put the snow there, they put the snow on the other side. So it kind of seems illogical. First of all, the speed to drive the plows seems to be kind of rapid at times, and a little too fast, the way they're pushing the snow. I realize they have to do that, but the street still gets narrow, it's just that they go so rapidly. It's not that they're getting it in closer to the curb, because they really don't plow that closely, but it's just going so quick that I think they should kind of either have something on the plow. I know they do have things that'll retain the snow in a particular area, like the side, or because once it gets high, it's fine, because it won't go up on the sidewalk. But that makes things a little angry, and for me anyway. But other than that, the snow's the snow, and 3 months from now it'll be a memory. But thank you for listening.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard? Wait. Let me get for everybody first, and then we get you. Okay, who else was to be heard?
Hello, everybody. My name is Kenneth Arabia at 34 Locust Street. I have 5 different issues to tell you. Number one issue is road rage, what's going on in my town, in my street. Because people don't stop at that stop sign in the corner by my house, and there was road rage going on. And it was for 5 minutes straight, fighting each other in the car. That was number one. Number two, you said, Mayor, you don't waste no money on tax money, but I want to tell you, you're wrong. You did. You know why you did? you enjoy all good furniture that could be sold, or it could be somewhere we could you make money to keep the least not going to trash, where you did. Because you still
Wait.
DPW.
Whenever we have furniture and it's good furniture, it is sold.
No, but this was good furniture. I'm not lying to you. Because I seen it outside, and it was good furniture. There was nothing wrong with it. And I want to tell you, it was cabinets, it was chairs, and tables, it was a lot of big furniture. Your DPW came and picked it up, and it was like 11:30 in the morning, Thursday morning. I remember it because I went outside the same time, and I saw it. And I want to tell you something, that is not right what you did. Because that's our tax money going in the garbage.
I'll have Mr. Casmo check that out.
I'm not lying to you, it's true.
Okay, what's number 3?
Number 3 item. Do we need police officers hold their cell phone on their driving the car? That's what's going on. Do you need to see, I've seen that twice in 2 different officers doing that. I mean, I went across the street one time and a cop was coming in, going to the parking lot to park the car. Meanwhile, he's on the cell phone, driving with one hand on the steering wheel. I mean, that's not right.
We'll have the police chief check that.
I'm not lying to you, it's the truth. I'm telling the truth. Number 3 item.
That was 4.
Number 4, okay. Number 4 item I got to tell you is, I've just got so many different things that I'm trying to think of now.
Take your time, take your time.
I know, but I do have 5 different items, but I'll just tell you one. And the roadways was the main thing I wanted to tell you, because that is not right. And they hear a lot of screaming and yelling at these people in front of my house. That's not right. And another thing is, no cops ever check anymore that corner anymore. Because I don't see them parked. Usually I see them parking behind in the parking lot, watching, going down, to see. Now, another thing I want to tell you, Mayor, that thing I told you about last time I was here, now it's not 50,000 to paint a tank. Now it's 150,000 to 75,000. We found out the prices, and that's how much it is to paint a tank. And meanwhile, there's one more thing about the tank that you should know about. You know how many years that tank has been in one spot already? Since 1970s. And I want to tell you that if you move that tank now, it might fall apart. It might break. So, you don't know. It'll cost maybe more money to fix it then.
We'll check into that.
I'm not lying to you, that's what I'm hearing.
Well, to fix the tank is not going to cost $50,000.
No, it'll cost more.
11.5.
It's $11,000
$11,000
to clean it.
to clean it, but still, though, you said you want to paint it.
Well, that's what they mean.
It shouldn't be that
No,
high.
$11,000.
No, 11,000 you said, but I don't know where you get that price, because my friend checked it out, and he said many different places, and they give him the prices for the tank, and that's what they say.
Tell your friend to call the clerk up and tell the clerk that it's going to cost $50,000. We have a price of 11.
11?
Yeah.
Maybe his friend's got a different tank.
No, this is the honest truth, Louis. I know going on, because I see things. And I want to tell you, Mayor, I see a lot of things going on in this town that shouldn't be fixed up better, because you see what you did with the DPW just now, today. You made them come and took all the snow away, because you had this meeting. But you know what you didn't do, that you should have done? It's well, it worked more better than doing digging out over here, is clean the drains. Because if no drain's clean, where the water's gonna go? Nowhere. And that's been like that yesterday. Everywhere you go, I'm trying to walk on the street, to go across the street, even the way the driveways are, it's full of water. The no drain holes are cleaned up.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to tell you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak?
It's not about snow.
It's frozen, it's not...
Please tell me you don't have 5 things.
Actually, it's about two.
Okay.
Good evening, Jean Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. I just want to expand a little on Mr. Karamania's information. As you are aware, Dr. Tomko is leaving us as of February the 15th, and I'd just like to let everyone know who's taking over. The acting superintendent will be Anthony Greco. The acting middle school principal will be Corinne DiMartino, and if you're not aware of his name, our new monitor's name is Angelo Di Simone. Thanks.
When did you find out that Dr. Tomko was leaving?
Last Thursday, they had the meeting in Belleville. and that's
You
what
had no
happened.
idea before that?
Not officially, no.
14 days isn't much time to give you to look for somebody, is it?
No, we were going to have an acting superintendent, and then as far as I'm concerned, and I can't speak for the whole board, we're going to have a search firm look for a new superintendent, ASAP.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just forgot one thing, James D'Amico, I spoke to one of the
Your name,
accountants
please?
about
Were
it.
you up here before?
Yeah, I was. Maybe in the future, I know it can't be done tonight. I don't know, there's a lot of things when it comes to the Board of Ed and the council and town budgets that I don't understand. It's not run like a regular business, there's rules and regulations. So we were just speaking about it. I'm just very curious if maybe at another meeting, somebody could explain to the public how these budgets do work. Because one of my questions was, well, if the council, I know we vote for a budget, and if it's turned down, then it comes back and it goes to the state. But at the end of the day, the mayor and the council and the town gives, say, the Board of Education so much money. They give them $36 million, say, to run their school. At the end of the year, they have a surplus sometimes. So,
They, meaning us, or them?
no, the Board of Education.
Okay.
So now, if they do that every year, we're giving them more money, taxpayer dollars, that they're telling us they need, but they really don't need, they don't use it. So how does that surplus in the budget, is what I'm trying to find out, to be educated on. How does that work? So if they had a $2 million surplus this year because of cuts, or because they did an aggressive budget, now if they do that again next year for $4 million, and they do it again next year for $2 million, we're giving them money that they're not.
They're held
So
to...
I want to know what, how that works. And what
Through you,
Well,
Mayor, their budget process is completely different than our budget process. At the beginning of your comments, you mentioned that they formally had to seek voter approval on their budget. When the Board of Educations throughout the state made the determination to move their elections to November, they were also making a commitment to keep their budgets under a 2% cap. And by doing that, they no longer, if they elected to go to November, they no longer had to go out to the voters for approval on their budget. And therefore, there was no vote, so failed budgets no longer come to the mayor and council. So we are even, the town is even further removed from that Board of Education budget process than we were when they needed to seek voter approval. As far as the surplus goes, I know there is a minimum amount that you have to have in your budget relative to surplus. Whether or not the Board of Education is over that, we can't answer that. That would be a question for the business
So
administration.
now if they get, say, $10, they're allowed to go over 2%, and the council just.
We play no role
Right,
in the
right.
budget process since the board selected to move the elections to November
Right.
and essentially committed to keeping it under the 2% cap.
Because kind of a kick in the butt, hey, we gave you 38 million, but you only spent 36 million. And and then if you do that every year, what happens? It's still taxpayer dollars. And I apologize to some of the members of the board when I said they were picking on, saying it was the council's problem and the police department. It was one person that was making those
Thank you.
comments, not the Board of Education. So thank you, have a good night.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, no.
Rich Tuwinski, 42 Walnut Street. I just wanted to piggyback on that real quick on what Mr. D'Amico had said, especially for the public and for this council. one of the Board of Ed members did bring up last night that the reason they had the deficit of 2 million and all these problems was because the council's been cutting, or the town has been voting down their referendums year after year. I remember sitting on this council or in this room when the mayor once told them when they came to the, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, for a $30 million referendum, make sure you have enough and don't come back. I remember that distinctly. And last night they were trying to pin those problems with that $2 million deficit on the people for voting down their budgets every year, which is totally wrong. But contrary to it, one of the board members said.
Wait. Folks, he's
One of the
speaking
board
to the
members did
council.
say that, and I took exception to that. But the other thing is, you're right, the 2% is allowed under the law now, so we have no control over that budget. And one other thing I wanted to bring up about the snow plowing. We do go after like certain areas for ticketing and that. But the residents, I took a ride down River Drive today when the high school was getting out. And you would be surprised at how many kids are walking in the road on River Drive. Even in front of the school, the sidewalks were not shoveled. Now, I think we should talk to the police department, they should give these people warning, that even some of the businesses all the way around, that they have to maintain these sidewalks. Our students were in the streets today at 2:30, 3 o'clock, wherever it is, on River Drive.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Everybody else is speaking, so I figure why not. Will Manilli, 221 Washington Ave. I have to ask, just for my own curiosity, does anybody know what the savings was this year by switching to a LIMO versus the engineer that we had in the past?
We haven't finalized our budget for 2014. I think it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. Keith?
Yeah, I don't have the year-end report yet.
Yeah, we don't.
Once we have that, we'll be able
So
to.
but we don't
You
know
would be
right
able to
now.
make that comparison
Okay,
once we have that.
so which brings me to my next point, and
By the way, that would be very difficult unless you're talking apples to apples. You know, things that happened in 2014
Right.
could be different than what had happened in 2013. So unless you compare apples to apples, you might
I
not
don't
be.
want to compare the two. The only reason, I know that we anticipated savings by switching. I guess it just brings me to my next point, which is, I know we voted to give them a 3-year contract, and, I would just assume that those figures would have been in already, since we're going to give them a 3-year contract, and I understand that it is an ordinance in this town where only the engineers can get a 3-year contract.
It's in the state, not just the
Right,
state.
oh, the state, okay. So, but anyway, I mean, just a quick point, which is kind of a moot point now, but you give somebody like that a 1-year contract and you stand to lose nothing. If it turns out that they don't end up saving us money or they don't end up doing a good job, then we're kind of stuck in a position. So I'm just saying, just from an outside perspective, it just seemed to me that,
They should have waited another year
Absolutely.
to see what the results were, and then if they wanted to appoint him 3-year contract.
In my opinion, but, I get you guys have more of the details than I do.
We don't have any details.
Oh, okay, well, anyway, I just have one more point, because I drop my son off at school at 16th Ave every morning, and I had my daughter in tow today, and as most of you probably know, when you drop your kids off at 16th Ave, it's a little bit it's quite congested to begin with. Usually, cars will just line up on 14th Ave on the backside, and, they'll get out and quickly make their way to the sidewalk because, cars are coming down, trying to get to work. Sometimes there's a police officer out there, sometimes there isn't. I guess it depends on if they have the people to spare at that time. But in any event, when the snow is there, you have to kind of walk down the street with your child and hope that the cars coming by are not going to clip you. So, it's the first year that my kids is in the 16th Ave school, so I've never had to deal with it before, but maybe we can at least make a path through the snow to the sidewalk so that they don't have to walk down the entire street to get to the entrance of the parking lot?
Those kinds of things, well, those kinds of things have to be discussed with the Board of Education also, because they plow the area, they plow the sidewalks, they plow the getting in there, and they're gonna have to try to help us out, make a pathway from the street to the school. Our DPW is busy plowing, DPW is busy around all the parks, snow blowing, clean all those sidewalks and everything else. There's a limit to how much the DPW can do with their men, and they can only work, I believe it's 10 hours before they have to be given a break.
Right.
And when you drive in one of those big trucks, you get very tired. I've been in them while they're plowing, and I'm amazed at how these fellows do plow. Some of the towns in northern Bergen County don't have sidewalks. You go to Fairlawn, there's no parking on the street all through Fairlawn.
Right.
So they can do that very easily. And we're going in and out and so forth. So I think this snowstorm was a problem for us. Prior to that, I think they do as much as they can, as best they can. And this year, this last snowstorm, we've had more calls than we had in many, many previous years, and I think everybody's aware of that. We've even tried in the past, maybe we can try it again, asking students if they would donate their time for some senior citizens who can't do their sidewalks, and then we were deluged by people calling saying they wanted all their sidewalks done. And the kids can only do just so much. So that failed. We can try it again. If there's any young people who wish to donate their time, they can call up my office, give us the name, and if we have some senior citizens who can't do it, maybe they'll go help them.
Let me just comment about 16th. It's obviously the biggest elementary school that we have. There's 530 kids. Even if only 25% of them drive there, that's 125, 130 cars. It's almost impossible to manage. And I'm sure more than 25% drive there. I don't know if there's a good solution, but obviously in the winter, it's exasperated because the streets get small and everything else. But the size of the school makes it a big problem too, and it's not the school's fault, but what do you do if half the kids decide to drive, the parents decide to school? You have 250 cars. Where do you put them?
Right.
That side fits maybe 20 cars, the other side 20 cars, so you're talking maybe 50 cars can park. You're still 100 short.
I actually have, I've talked to some people from out of town, and I don't know if this would be something that, you would talk to the police department about or to the Board of Ed about, but I've heard of other towns where they have a system where 4 cars at a time pull up, and they have, 12 seconds or something.
Yeah.
They can't stay there, but their kid gets out, and then they move on the next 4 and move up. And from the feedback that I've gotten from the other towns, it works quite well, but whatever's going on there right now doesn't work very well, but I guess it works, but in any event, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, may I call for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Wait, before we do that, hold on 1 minute. Let me just repeat this, so that I can find it. Motion to adjourn, Mr. Boncino and Mr. Dombrowski, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered.
I know. Next 4 days.